It really feels like the other day we got the big reveal of Icon of the Seas, which I guess looking back, it was only, I guess this time last year we really got the name of it and the big reveal of it, which was really exciting, and it is still very exciting. And I think Royal Caribbean wasn't expecting this level of hype for their new ship. I think they were expecting a lot, especially with it being larger than the Oasis class. Royal Caribbean released additional sailings through the middle of 2026 for Icon of the Seas only, and they had to do that 3 months earlier than they planned because of how highly anticipated Icon of the Seas is and how much demand that there is for that specific ship. Now, of course, other ships are doing just as well, but Icon is just going so unbelievably well in just pre-sales before they even, launch the ship. The ship doesn't come out until January of next year, which is only 3 months away. The ship's almost done. Icon of the Seas is coming along very, very well and very quickly. And so she's almost done. But with that, Icon 2 is coming out in summer of 2025, and Royal Caribbean has now confirmed that. Icon 2 will be launching summer of 2025, so about 18 months or so, about 12 to 18 months after Icon of the Seas. And now we officially got a name. Icon 2, or Icon of the Seas 2, whatever you want to call it, is now Star of the Seas. Star of the Seas is the next Icon class ship. She is number 2 of 3. There is still a third Icon class ship that is planned for 2026. I'm not sure of the time frame. I believe that's going to be a summer as well, maybe winter. But crazy to think that there's going to be 3 of these Icon class ships, and just to see these out on the ocean and in ports and things like that is just going to be a sight to absolutely see or absolutely behold. Because these things look massive. I am looking towards going to see Icon the first time she comes into Miami. I'm actually on the 4th ever sailing of Icon, so if you want some ship tours and all sorts of content from Icon, you're in the right place. We got some of that coming up pretty soon in the next couple months. We'll be one of the first ones on board. But anyways, so with Star of the Seas being announced, they didn't give us any additional information beyond Star of the Seas coming summer of 2025. But I think it's kind of fun to kind of speculate and almost maybe even have a conversation with you guys about this. Comment what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. But I want to kind of go over what I anticipate from this ship, where I think it's going to go, the shuffling of ships when this thing arrives. So given that the Icon of the Seas and now Star of the Seas are going to be liquefied natural gas, as similar to Utopia of the Seas, there's only a very few ports, especially here in the United States, that actually have access to liquefied natural gas, being Port Canaveral and Miami. Miami's just now got access to it with Carnival Celebration, and even that's kind of a stretch because of what they do with that. The way they do Celebration in Miami with liquefied natural gas is that there is a fuel barge in Port Canaveral that goes up. It fuels and fills up in Savannah, Georgia, comes down to Port Canaveral on Saturdays, fills up the Mardi Gras, and then makes its way down the coast to Miami to be there in the morning to start filling up Celebration on Sundays. And so if you've ever noticed the port schedules, over the summer, Mardi Gras and Celebration were doing 6 and 8 night sailings, and they were always offset of each other. If it was a Sunday that Mardi Gras was in Port Canaveral because it finished an 8-night cruise, Celebration was finishing a 6-night to where it was in Miami on Saturday. So they were always offset of each other. That way they could do that. I don't know if that's going to be the case for Royal Caribbean when it comes to Star of the Seas, Icon of the Seas, and Utopia, because Utopia is now the only and first and only Oasis class ship to have liquefied natural gas as well, which is a much cleaner burning fossil fuel and one of the cleanest marine fuels that you can really get. So with all of that in mind, there's really only 2 home ports that come to mind unless Fort Lauderdale somehow comes up with this within the next 2 years. It's either Port Canaveral or Miami. They're either going to run 2 Icon class out of Miami like they used to do 2 Oasis class out of Miami. They used to run Symphony and Oasis for the longest time, and I think they're still going to continue doing Icon and Oasis, at least Oasis during the winter months, because I know she's been going up to New York for the summer lately, the last couple of years. But during the winter, I think it could still be Icon and Oasis going through those 7-night Saturday and Sunday sailings from Miami. So biggest my biggest theory right now, or my biggest idea that I have, is that Star of the Seas is going to be home ported in Port Canaveral as soon as she launches in summer of 2025. Just like they're doing with Utopia of the Seas, Port Canaveral is a massively growing port. It's just getting bigger and bigger and busier every season. And I've got a video coming out later this week talking about that and how Port Canaveral has one of its busiest seasons ever coming up soon, and that's only scratching the surface of the next year or two for that port. Either Royal Caribbean's going to put a Saturday to Saturday ship in Port Canaveral, which being Star of the Seas, because they don't really have a ship that goes Saturday to Saturday. They've only been running the Oasis class lately on Sunday to Sunday sailings for 7 nights. Mariner of the Seas has been doing 6 and 8 night sailings. Those are always Friday to Saturday. Those are out of Terminal 5 to where it still leaves. Every Saturday is open for Terminal 1. I know next year in 2024 and 25, we're getting Celebrity Equinox, and I believe she's going to be taking that spot in Terminal 1, at least for that winter season, on those Saturdays for the 7-day sailings. So really, I think we could do that. Or, hear me out, Star of the Seas is going to replace Wonder of the Seas. Wonder of the Seas is going to go somewhere else. My theory is that she could either go to Galveston, replace the Harmony. Harmony comes back over to Florida, does something else, or even goes over to Europe. Actually, I think 2025 is about time anyways for her to go back over for dry dock. I'm not 100% certain on that. So it could be about time for her to go over for a European season and then maybe go from there, or they could even send her up to New York. I know Symphony is going to go for 2024, 2025, I think. So that's an option. Or we have Wonder of the Seas gets pushed down to Miami, does 7-day sailings out of Miami to go alongside Icon, or to go along with her sister ship Utopia that's coming out next year. We could see Wonder of the Seas doing 3 and 4 night sailings out of Miami. That way we have Wonder in Miami doing 3 and 4s, and we have Utopia doing 3s and 4s out of Port Canaveral. Now, with the Oasis class being as big as it is, it's kind of crazy that we're having short cruises on these, and it really takes, within 7 days on an Oasis class, you're not going to see everything. And so that's really the only downfall of these short cruises on these big Oasis class ships, but it gives you an excuse to do a back-to-back cruise. And really, in the past, doing a 3 to 4 day Bahamas cruise really wasn't a huge thing, because it was just going to Nassau and that was it. And really up until lately, Nassau wasn't really the nicest port out there. Nassau is always very nice. It's just not the best port when it comes to the Caribbean ports. I don't know. If you've been to Nassau, I guess you may know what I'm talking about. But lately, they've completely revamped Nassau. Nassau looks amazing. I still haven't seen it for myself since they reopened all that new area. But Nassau looks amazing now. And now we have Coco Cay. Coco Cay, ever since it got reopened in 2019 with the huge refurbishment that they did, that itself redefined short cruising with the 3 and 4 night sailings. I've always thought to myself, maybe I could do a Carnival 3 and 4 night sailing, but when I compare it to what Royal Caribbean's doing, I'm going to Nassau on a sea day or Nassau and Freeport on the Carnival Liberty. Nothing against the Liberty. I actually love Carnival Liberty. She's one of my favorite Carnival ships. With that ship, and then you compare it to Independence of the Seas, huge Freedom class ship going to Nassau or a sea day sometimes, and then you're going to Coco Cay, you're getting a lot more out of that short cruise than you would be with Carnival. Again, nothing against Carnival. I love them. I've actually cruised Carnival more than anybody else. I'm just saying, in comparison to the two, you're getting a lot more out of that. And that's just with the Independence. Now we have the Allure that's coming in to do those 3 and 4 night sailings from Port Canaveral, and then, of course, Utopia. So really, it's not a huge stretch to say that we could be getting maybe Wonder of the Seas down in Miami, because I know Allure is actually taking over Freedom's place whenever Freedom moves and Utopia comes in to take Allure's place in Canaveral. There's a big shuffle of ships, and I believe Freedom is going to go to Fort Lauderdale for 6 and 8 night sailings. I think there's a couple different ways we could see this, or a couple of different ways we could do this. And again, this is me just rambling and just talking about what I think the future looks like for Star of the Seas. So I think my biggest guess, or my best guess right now, is that Star of the Seas will be coming out summer of 2025, sailing from Port Canaveral, Florida, doing 7 night sailings, taking the place of Wonder of the Seas, or she will be taking a Saturday slot that Royal Caribbean has never done before. And again, let me know what you guys think down below. This is me just kind of pitching ideas and theories in my head. And yeah, I'm very excited for Star of the Seas. It looks incredible. Obviously, it's going to be just like Icon, maybe slightly bigger. That's what they always did with the Oasis class. Each one was just incrementally larger than the other. The same goes with Wonder versus Utopia. Utopia is just a smidge larger. And then, of course, Icon, it's the way that they can sell that world's largest cruise ship advertising. So I wouldn't be surprised if, with Icon being about 252,000 tons, I wouldn't be surprised if Star is 253 or 255. But anyways, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was mostly me just rambling and just kind of pitching ideas of what I think Star of the Seas is going to do. So my best guess, Port Canaveral 2025, 7-day sailings. What are your thoughts down below? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.